All right, so I forgot to mention it when I went over the physical maps. Make certain that you are writing notes down. Make certain that you're writing notes down. So I'm saying a whole lot. Sometimes I'm giving you a whole lot of information. Some of it is relevant, some of it is not. Um, Best rule of thumb is to write it down. Okay, especially if you see that it appears on the slide in red. If it appears in red, write it down. Write it down. Let's start by reading. Political maps. Political maps show political features such as national boundaries and borders. So when we're talking about national boundaries and borders, what we're talking about is countries. Bona fide countries that are recognized by other countries for being a recognized country. Okay? So, in other words, the United States, Mexico, Canada, all of these are recognized countries. Well, the United States, Canada, Mexico, they recognize other countries. And when enough countries recognize another country, then that country becomes a recognized country all throughout the world. Okay? And all countries have borders. How else are you going to defend yourself unless you have borders? All right? So, we are going to learn about political maps. The maps may be black and white, or they may use color to show different countries. In other words, the color itself denotes that it is its own country. So if one country is purple, the next country next to it is red, those are two different countries. All right. So, yeah, that should be self explanatory. These maps may also change over time as political borders change. So, in other words, pay attention. If you look at the bottom right here, Europe before World War II. All right, this was the number of countries that existed during that time. You know what? I am going to put this in presentation mode so that you can see it a lot better. So that means that my image will disappear, but just listen to what I have to say. All right, so Europe before World War II. So these were all the countries that existed in Europe before World War II. A lot of them we're familiar with to this day. Okay. A lot of them we didn't always grow up with. All right. So this Europe after World War II, during the Cold War, this was the reality that I grew up under. This was the reality that I grew up under. Now, everything that's in purple, those countries were part of the what we call the Eastern Bloc or the Soviet Bloc. So, in other words, the Soviet Union, USSR, they had control over those countries. Those countries were independent countries, but for all intents and purposes, nah, they really did whatever the Soviet Union told them to do. Okay. The other countries, um, here, all of these countries, these are sort of what we consider the Western countries, along with Sweden, and this is Finland. Yeah, Finland. Um, those countries were also part of Europe as well. But these were the number of countries that we knew about. All right. So look here, then look here. Now, Europe after the breakup of the Soviet Union, these were the countries that then existed. New countries popped up that did not exist. Okay. So, in other words, what the moral of the story is that over time, maps do change. Never, ever, ever, ever assume that you know a map. Take time. Pay attention to what it is that you're looking at. By paying attention, that can oftentimes let you know what time period you're dealing with. Read all of the information in a map, especially if you know it's a political map. Read everything. All right, that will give you a lot of information as to the time period. That should jog your memory about what was happening in the world, what was happening in different regions of the world. Remember, right now we're looking at Europe. Europe is divided into several different regions. What I taught you in class was Eastern Europe and Western Europe. But there's far more than just Eastern Europe and Western Europe. There's also Southern Europe, and there's also Northern Europe as well. Okay. As always, take some time, pay attention to what it is that I've gone over, take some notes, review it,